Hey everybody, it's Miss WC and my helper Maggie Kate. Today we are going to talk about Roman mosaics. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the packet that we had. This is the one that is under the assignments tab, and it is all about Roman art and the mosaics, and it should take you about an hour to kind of work through. And you can do a web search for Roman mosaic images to kind of see what we're looking at. I'm also going to give you a link to the Brain Pop, and you can look at the Roman Empire there, and you can do a ton of just searches on the Roman Empire for kids videos just on Google, and there's so many things that you can see there. Okay, so in Italy, we're talking about 800 to 150 BC, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through the packet just like you were to have it at home. Remember, you can either print this out, or if you don't have a printer, you can just look at it online and you can go from there. There's tons of printables that you can use, or you can just create your own as you go. If you're going to do any of these assignments under the assignment tab, the art history assignments, you can change them or tweak them however you have materials and whatever you got around the house, or if you have a printer, if you don't have a printer, don't worry, okay? All right, so I'm going to read it through for you guys. The materials that you're going to need for this, it says a black sheet of construction paper, but we didn't use black. We used just a different color construction paper. So again, whatever materials you have, you're welcome to change it. Other construction paper to do the mosaic tiles, you're going to need some glue, and you're going to need some scissors. And if you don't have white glue, you can always use a glue stick or any kind of glue that you may have. Okay, you also might want a pencil as well. And then again, you can also use your online references to check out some Google images of the Roman mosaics. All right, so I'm going to go on to where it says teacher script, and I am going to read. My helper is eating an apple. Please excuse her. Okay, so I'm going to do the read aloud for you guys. So just follow along with me. All right, it says, today we are going to talk about artists who lived a long time ago in a place called Italy. One of the cities in Italy was called Rome, and the people there were called Romans. We're going to talk about the artists who lived there and one kind of art that they did. Sometimes instead of drawing a picture, artists in Rome made pictures out of little pieces of colored rocks or tiles. The pieces were stuck together to make a picture. Do you have tiles in your house? Maybe some in the kitchen or the bathroom. Here is a story about how people found some very old mosaics in Italy that had been hidden for a long time. One of the most famous old cities in Italy is called Pompeii. It was a fancy town by the water where a lot of people went for vacation a long time ago. It was also near a volcano called Mount Vesuvius. What do you know about volcanoes? Why does lava or ash come out of volcanoes? One day, at around lunchtime, Mount Vesuvius suddenly erupted, and ash from the volcano went up into the air and started to fall down over the town. Most of the people ran away to safety, but the entire town was buried under a layer of ash. For many years, nobody went back there, and after a while, people started to forget about the town that was covered up. Finally, about 200 years ago, some archaeologists began to dig out the buried town, and they discovered that everything remained just how it had been when the volcano had erupted. So, what did they find in the town? They found houses full of dishes and children's toys and children's tablets. Tablets in those days were not like the electronic tablets we have now. They were made out of wood, and they had a wax spread across the top. And students would scratch into the wax to write, and then they would smooth out the wax again. Imagine if we used those in our class. Many of the walls and floors had tiles on them. The tiles were very colorful, and sometimes small tiles were glued together to make pictures or geometric designs. Most of the walls and floors were decorated with tile pictures of people, animals, and nature. Sometimes artists used stones and shells or glass in their picture. This art method is known as mosaics. Now would be a good time to look up on Google Roman mosaics and just kind of check out all the examples that they have. And we found out so much about how they lived and the way they dressed and what was important to them, like the animals, by the pictures that they did in their mosaics. And today we're going to make our own mosaics. We don't have pieces of tile and glass, but we can make a mosaic out of paper instead. We can see what it is like to make pictures like the ancient Romans artists did. Okay, so this art project is going to be a mosaic. All right, so I suggest you start out with a pretty simple design. Okay, this was my daughter's, she did a mermaid. And then Maggie Kate did the unicorn. Okay, you could start off, the suggestions in the packet say maybe a rainbow or a flower or a heart or a sun or a butterfly. You may want to, and this is in the directions, you may want to sketch out your picture. I actually sketched the outline of the mermaid for my 3-year-old daughter, and then that gave her kind of a start where she could kind of fill it in with the scraps of paper. Okay. For the students, you might, sorry, I'm kind of reading and going back and forth. I cut out a bunch of little, I just used our scrap paper and then cut a bunch of little squares, okay? And remember, whatever you don't end up using, save these for another art project, okay? So, what you are going to do, and I'm just scrolling through the art project packet, and there's tons of examples there. Do you want to explain how you did yours? Okay. Okay, Maggie Kate's going to explain her project to you.
So first, my mommy did sketch the
outline with the pencil.
And then she helped me put all the papers down, and I drew all these on the outline, and we used rubber cement.
We used rubber cement glue, but if you don't have rubber cement glue at your house, you definitely can just use a dot of glue or even a glue stick, okay? So you're just going to work, and I do suggest kind of working in a corner and then going from there. A traditional mosaic is going to have the tiles in kind of a nice square pattern where there's a little bit of a line between them and they don't overlap, but it's totally okay if your tiles overlap each other, okay? And then when you're all done, like Maggie Kate did, you're welcome to decorate around the edge, or like on the mermaid, we actually filled it in with blue, kind of like she was underwater. A lot of mosaics have a nice little decorative border around with like a pattern of different colors. So that would be a nice detail as well. There's a bunch of examples in this packet, so just kind of see how they did it and kind of go from there, and then also look at the real mosaics online and see what they've got. Okay. Another project that you could do for this is to make a mosaic nameplate. The one in your book, it says for kindergartners, but anybody could do this and it turns out nice. This is actually Maggie Kate's initials. It says MKC, and then we put some little flower details and kind of just decorate it around. Okay, so you could do initials or your name. You might need a larger sheet of paper if you have a long name. That's why I just went with initials for this. Okay, so that would be an example of the extension project with the mosaic names. All right, so then what else is in the packet is a reflect and review sheet. Okay, so this is the example of that. The reflect and review sheet says to draw a simple mosaic. So I just kind of drew a practice butterfly with some flowers around it. And the questions here say, how do you make a mosaic? Where did the Roman artists live? What did the artists use to make their mosaics? What do you wonder about mosaics or Romans? Do you wonder anything about mosaics or Romans? What do you wonder?
I wonder what they put on 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 the bottom so they can stick them on.
Ooh, that's a good question. So they oftentimes would use in like a grout or like almost like a cement that's kind of mixed together. So it really kind of, when you press the tiles down in, it almost turns to a concrete around the tiles. Okay. If you look at the tiles in your kitchen or in your bathroom, there, it's called grout, and it's in between, and it's like almost a sandy concrete that hardens around them. All right, so what else we have in the packet is the Roman art comic strip. And there also tells you to reflect on how you felt when you were learning about it. So, smiley, straight face, frowny face, how did you feel when you were learning about Rome? And then it says, if I could meet an artist, this is what I would say. And here's my joke for you guys. Why did the Roman cry? Because he stubbed his toga. Ha 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 ha. All right, so come up with a little comic there. There's also word searches in the packet. And then the last thing in the packet that you might be interested in is just this coloring sheet of a Roman fish. So this is something that you could work on: crayons, markers, whatever you have. And you could even take your time to color in the background, like to fill in that grout space. Maybe with a crayon, and then do marker for each tile. One suggestion I have for this, so it doesn't take as long, is if you are going to do, say, red around, is that you work with your red marker and do all of the red that you want to do, and then close up your red and go on to your next color. Because if you did one color, close up the marker, next color, close up the marker, that would take forever. So it kind of pick the color that you're working with and fill in a bunch of the tiles with that color and then move on to the next color. But you do it however you want because you're the artist, and however you do it, it's going to turn out perfect. All right, so we have all of this Roman artwork, our mosaics. So I wanted just to remind you guys about the art history scrapbook that is also, I made a video about that, and there's a bunch of printables, so you can print this out. You can put it in a notebook like this. You could put it just in a folder. You could put it in a box. It doesn't matter. Okay, whatever you want to do. You're the artist. But I have in a notebook like this. I haven't had a chance to color these pages, but I could color these. It says my art history response journal. And then I have a folder for each of the topics. So I've got my cave art. In the last video, we did the Egyptian art. So I've got that stuff here. And then today we're going to put our Roman art inside of this folder. Okay, so I'm slowly starting to build my art history scrapbook. All right, so that's pretty much it for the Roman mosaics. Again, you can do as much or as little with this project, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, bye guys.
Mommy.